Okay. All right. Hi, everyone. Um, give us a moment, and I'd love to give you a moment to jump on. Feel free to join us at the link in the description, and I'm also going to put it in the comments right now in our Soaring Beyond Definition group. Okay. But I am Siris Raquel Rivas-Verdejo, and we're waiting for Imran Peter Farooq. He's having some technical difficulties. It looks like he's here. Great.
Right, I haven't checked my audio, so is that sounding cool?
Yeah, it does. You want to say hi?
Hi, I used to be Peter Halley, but I'm now Imran Farouk.
Yeah, and things keep evolving. So,
Oh,
just a couple
yes.
of logistics. Um, in addition to in addition to us having yeah, soaring beyond definition technology for sure. In addition to us having this Zoom right now, we're streaming it to our private Soaring Beyond Definition group. After the first 30 minutes or so, we're going to switch gears, turn off the recording, just have our own private chill chat. There will be no replay for that second 30 minutes, but this first 30 minutes is just to get the conversation going, to get things started, to see what questions we might have. I'm just going to really quickly read the description to remind y'all of what Imran and I will be talking about a little bit, and then I will let Imran take the show because I'm going to put on my mouth zipper. um, but it's this idea of, well, have you ever wondered how to be a man on this planet while honoring yourself and what you know? Have you ever been judged or judged yourself for being a man, and you wonder if you're ever going to get out of your head and get your head out of your ass enough to create a life you'd not only just enjoy, but you'd be proud to have? Let me just pause there for a moment. Yes, we're talking about soaring as a male being, and yet that those few couple of questions I think can apply to all of us, right? And so, as you know, there's all the people that are here on Zoom live, like it's men and women here. So come on over and join our discussion live on Zoom. And then also feel free to comment under the video in our private group. And I will be checking that periodically. And I'll let Imran know what y'all are asking and what you're saying, okay? So we're going to be co-facilitating this discussion. I'm going to let Imran take the lead. I really don't have to let him. He is a leader on his own. But everybody's welcome. Every background, every creed, every type of experience. And we're just going to look at how men are different, not better, not worse, just different. So, a couple questions to start us off and just to get the energy brewing even more, and for you to consider as well, is what is the beauty, the strength, and gift of being a male being? How can you step out beyond the conditioning and past experiences into your magic, your rhythm, and your journey? This first chat, and it's very much going to be a first of a couple, we're going to looking at least three conversations here, is to open the doorway to see what we can create and discover together. This will be a space where men seeking to soar can take center stage and be received totally without judgment. And then, like I mentioned, female beings are welcome to tend and listen to us as well, and to the men energetically contributing their love, their kindness, and their awareness. So you can feel free to make comments in the chat as well if that helps. But we'll be looking at mental, physical, psychological, health, environmental, basically any topics are open. And with that, I'm going to let Imran talk and I'm going to check in on the chat.
Okay.
Awesome.
Um,
Thank you for being here.
yeah, I'd love to say thank you to everybody that's on this call. Um, and I hope you're going to get as much out of it as I have got out of my awareness in my life so far. Not that I'm planning on ending it, but it's going to be a long one. Anyhow, um, the ability to soar is something that I had, although I wasn't completely aware of it at the time, from childhood. And if you have children or you observe children, um, you can see that their imagination is boundless. And somewhere along life life's path, that's become muddled. It's been restricted from many different angles. So my woman um, has shown me that it's okay to be have the thought patterns of that early age when everything is amazing to you, when you're full of questions, but still be a grown up. And I think what happens with that, well, for me anyway, I can only really talk about myself, is that in the process of growing up, you lose a lot of that wonder, a lot of the innocence in many ways. Um, it can start with siblings, brothers and sisters. It can start with parental guidance. Um, no matter how lovingly and well intended it's put across, um, it does have an effect, and it's not always a spoken effect. So I would like to help men to find their voice through whatever adversity they've come through. And if they can talk, open a dialogue within the group of their experiences and how it's affected them, no matter how insignificant they feel that it is, you really don't know the real time effect that has on another being. And yeah, I guess that's where we're starting from. So I was born in Pakistan to a mixed parentage. Um, and unfortunately, I was taken away from that environment when I was very young. My mother and father separated, and we came back to Scotland. And my mother, my two sisters, and I. And as much as my mother cared for me and loved me, she herself was bound by her parents, and that in turn affected me. And I can remember specific occasions that we can talk about later if you like, where that has affected me um, subconsciously to start with initially, and then also through my growing processes and my developing. Not having a father figure was a interesting experience. I do remember my childhood in Pakistan. Um, so from that point, I guess I kind of had to find out for myself, and that's a very interesting journey to be able to do that and survive. I've had a few close calls, um, but yeah, developing that is has been an opener for me. Not always in a good way. I've got into all sorts of bother, and I've come through. Very fortunate that I've come through. I seem to have an innate sense of survival, which I would like to change, and I am doing so through my woman. She's helping me immensely. Mm. Well, that was emotional. Yes, and it's okay for men to cry. That's allowed. So yeah, let's get rid of all that. Let's take all that away and let's soar in our own being. Be yourself. Discover who you were. What makes you happy? What gives you joy? When I was going through some of my difficult periods when in my teenage, yeah, teenager, my my solace, my safe place was in the woods up a mountain. And I found great comfort in nature. Um, I was fortunate that my grandmother, my Scottish grandmother, was an avid gardener, and she showed me many things about gardening and plants and flowers and basically life, animals. I remember having, not having to watch, but I remember I got woken up and we toodled off downstairs to watch Jacques Cousteau, his programs on the environment, and a lot of other natural, zoological, geographical things, and I loved that. And I always kind of, when I'm in a bit of bother, I find walking in nature as a marvelous way of re-energizing, absorbing the energies of that. Um, so I guess that's how I started. The name the name change has come about as a recognition of my true self, what I was, and what I'm to become. My mother changed my name when I was at primary school in Scotland with the best of intentions, because she herself had been at the effect of a lot of prejudice, racial prejudice, etc. And she feared for me, as a mother kind of does, I guess. And she thought it would do me better if I had a Scottish name or a British name or an English name. Call it what you like. So yeah, I do remember that, and I questioned it, and Mum told me her reasons, and I, young and not as aware as I am now, in some respects, and I accepted it, and my life did what it did. But now, with the awareness that I have and the desires that I have to create spaces for people to expand, to find themselves, expand, play, use your imagination, rekindle that imagination, the childhood wonder and awe that most of us have forgotten. So I guess that's that, but still a bit emotional.
Well,
Yeah.
may I add something here with the
Yep.
comment in the chat? Um, one second. So many windows, so little time. So in the chat, there's a comment. It's referring to something you were talking about a little bit ago. It says, "My partner is really deeply rooted in the brotherhood energy from the field he's working in. He's a woodworker, so he works with a lot of other men. I perceive how much he enjoys the adventure of living surrounded with men, but not through a lot of talking. I wonder do men support each other in men circles when they don't talk that much?" Great question. What's your take on that?
I think, no, I don't think that's not the right word to use. I get the sense that that's, and in my situation too, that seems to be an unspoken energetic, and there's always a common denominator. There's a common source, a common um, environment. And with, I used to work in the woods for a short while, cutting trees and planting them, and there's a camaraderie with the men groups, um, and they just they kind of bounce off each other. There's a lot of similarities in what they do, and also being in nature is a very inspiring thing, inspiring attribute. Um, the guys that I do know that have worked in forestry for a long time can be very insular. Um, I don't know why. I mean, if anybody out there would like to chip in on that, that would be cool. My own perspective of that and my experience of that is that there is an uncomfortable energetic with the women. How do they talk to women? They may have been in an abusive situation. They may have been in a female dominated situation. I mean, I was my family, my Scottish family was my grandmother who was very strong, my mother who was not quite as strong, but she turned out to be, um, and two sisters younger than I. The middle one is mm, well, she's a I really don't know how to describe her, but she's a very strong-minded woman. She has fixed ideas and she is very dominating. My other sister is just as mad as I am. Uh, the only real difference between her and I, essentially, is our sexes. She's female, I'm male, and we have a lot of similarities. We have the same peculiar sense of humour. Um, when her name's Nyla, and when we argued because we did um, as siblings, we gave mum a life of hell. But the other side of that coin was when we were on the same wavelength, we were just the of one mind. That's basically the easiest way to say that. So I find that with men groups and that they tend to be exclusive, which is unfortunate. But I don't really have a lot of experience in the psychology of that. That I would suggest that they have a point, a focal point, and that allows them to begin to talk. They talk to about familiar subjects, engineering, mechanics, woodworking, etc., and that's fine to a point. But how many of them are comfortable enough with talking to the opposite sex? I've always found, for some peculiar reason, possibly because of my upbringing, that I can relate to females um, better than I can to male fraternity. Um, Although I have to say that in my life, and a couple of pals of mine were talking about this, and we were discussing how many true friends we have. And from the male perspective, my experience, obviously, very few people I can absolutely trust as a male um, to, to have my back, to look out for you, to help you when you require it. You know, if they see you in need, they'll step in and help. Um, and I don't know where this is going. um, but yeah, to change that so that you can talk to women is quite a step. But I mean, my personal point of view about that is we're all beings. The sexuality of each other is inconsequential in the beginning. When we're embryos and fetus, there's not really any physical difference between us. The mental difference is there, the psychological difference is there, but we are pretty much the same um, in physical respects. So yeah, that's that, and that was shown to me by children. I had I've had a couple of marriages. They didn't work for various reasons. Um, Most of them, I guess, are kind of down to me and my ignorance. Um, but the two girls, Emma and Jodie, they were 12 weeks early. and they taught me an enormous amount, and particularly about the hidden strength of the female psyche. Both of them should never have survived. It's easy to say that, but in reality, um, when the ex-wife, who's passed on now, was having the children, there was another woman in the hospital had twin boys, um,
Mm,
and unfortunately they didn't make it. They
wow.
they seemed to be not as resilient or as determined to survive as, and I think that must be a built-in thing from prehistory. Um, but yeah, they taught me a lot, and now I can still say what the effect was, and that was when I had difficulty in communicating with the kids. You know, I was the father. I was daddy going to work and coming back. I very rarely saw them, and you know, this was pointed out to me, and it was suggested that I kind of get down to their level. Well, that was it. I'm still there. Yeah, get in touch with the children, just play at their level, talk to them in an adult manner, but at a level that they can comprehend. You know, I remember walking through the park in Perth with the girls in a pushchair, and one of them, Jodie, said, "There's a bird," and I went, "Yes, that's a blackbird." It was a female. It was brown. So she said, "Why is it called a blackbird? It's brown." So I had to think, well, how do I explain this in terms that she, at her stage of development, can comprehend? And by God, that made me think how to put things across, how to communicate. And I mean, my experience was just mind blowing for me, and it changed an awful lot of my opinions and my attitude to life and other people. Um, so yeah, communicating, communication, I believe firmly is the essence of a good relationship. I wasn't a good communicator. I mean, I know that in my relationship at the moment, we have hiccups like everybody else does. And I'm not terribly good at communicating. And I guess that's part of the male energy that I hold, where you tend to bottle it up. Now, my woman doesn't. Um, she'll talk, she'll talk it out. Anything that's bothering her, and women do that. I've noticed that. They may talk to themselves in another room or out in the garden. I mean, I remember many years ago, my grandmother was in the garden with us as I was a child, and my mother, and it amazed me how she could hold five separate conversations, and there was only three of us there. It's just, and she was keeping an eye on me because I'm asking, is that a plant? Is that a weed? I don't know. I'm pulling things out of the garden, and she's going, no, put it back. All sorts of silly things like that. So that's there's many differences, and the communication. I mean, I believe that. Well, I know that because of my stubbornness that I seemingly have, um, when I didn't communicate, no matter how it hurt me or how many tears I was pouring out my eyes, um, the relationship ended. It finished. Now, communication could be vocally, it could be sensory, touch, cuddles. Um, kind of getting round to that again. That's a bit awkward, but you know that's me. I have no bones about that. I'm perfectly sure of myself that I know my own sexuality. I know my own likes and dislikes, and I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of anything. Um, and I've had a Yeah, cool. We have a comment.
Yeah, so we have a bunch of comments and people watching in our private group. Hi, everybody.
Oh, cool.
Um, so just so you know
Ooh,
that. And on top of that, we have a comment in the chat here live. Yes, if you're watching this, yes, you can still come on live into the Zoom. And I keep putting the link in there for y'all to jump in, no worries. And you'll have this to watch again in the group, obviously, and then the people who have registered and who are in the email lists and stuff, they'll get the replay. A couple of things here. So in the chat, interestingly enough, I have less close friends than my partner. This is a female being who's
uh-huh.
writing this. In a way, I feel a bit more fragile not having a bigger community willing to have my back, actually. That may be a bridge beyond being a man or a woman and still asking for more true friends in my life. I think that's a beautiful ask.
Yeah,
Just my own peanut gallery comment there. And then I'm really wondering about the aging aspect and not living only relying on the partner in the couple, but going wider, like into the community, because life and death happens every day and more when we age. Um, so that's the comment here. Lots of thumbs up from our private group viewers. Thanks
cool.
for watching, y'all. Um, so, Imran, what is your take on the aging process and how it is about like expanding beyond our partners to go into the community to widen our circle of friends?
I guess the core of that is keeping the youthful aspect and keeping your mind youthful. Your body will age in some manner, um, and there's an energetic radiance that emanates from you. I mean, my woman has shown me that. When I an instance of that was I was very frustrated when I started working with the singing bowls, and there are a couple of other people that work with singing bowls in my area, Scotland. It's just a wee bit, and I wasn't getting the following that I would have liked. And she said to me that it's an energy, it's an energetic. My energy will go out. It will expand. It will create an environment where I my energy goes out. I'm not quite sure how to explain this. It radiates from me, from the inner me, and the first connection that it seems to make is beings, people that are on a similar frequency, a similar vibration at a similar level, and that's the first attraction. And we're all different, really. Essentially, we're different. So from my working point of view, there are people that will gravitate to me because they require something energetic from me or something for me to facilitate or just to share. And other people have a different mindset and they will gravitate to another type of therapy or another sound therapist for their energy and what they do and how they do it. So that was a bit of a moment for me. And it took me a bit of time to get that through the thick head and the hair. We've got some of that. That's a little bit. Um, so yeah, I wouldn't worry about that. I think if you can truly be you, then your energy will emanate and you will bring to you those that are for you, those that resonate with you, those that are of a um, similarly minded, and also the ability to communicate, good, bad, or indifferent. I think that's kind of it in a big nutshell. Yeah.
So this is a great moment to, well, we have another beautiful comment that I'll read, and then we're gonna stop the recording aspect and just open it up for a free-for-all, private, intimate conversation about whatever this brought up for everybody. And you can feel free to join us here on Zoom if you'd like. Um, But the other comment that we have is just I'm so lucky. This is from another female being. We're doing really good as female beings keeping our mouth zippers on. I just got to
Yeah,
acknowledge myself
yeah. Good
because
girl.
you
Well
know I
done.
love to talk.
Yeah.
And yet I love this discussion and I learned so much and I just got to be with your energy so much more. Like you already know I adore you and we have a particularly unique relationship as well and it's just been so beautiful to see you be what we've been talking about for so long and how we interact and this getting some more background information. But the comment in the chat is I'm so lucky that my enjoyable other, which I love that phrase to talk about our partners. I'm so lucky that my enjoyable other and I can begin again multiple times and evolve our way. And then what is your take on this? And so I think we're actually going to continue that unless you want to give them a little nugget for right now, which is a good way to part ways. And then we're going to turn off this discussion and the recording for right now um, and go into our intimate chat. But do you have something to add about evolving multiple ways on a daily basis with your enjoyable other?
Yeah. It's being aware of the evolution of the honesty of each other, starting with the self, and knowing that at any point in time you can choose the change, um, and communication evolving. Be aware of that. Know that things will change. They are changing slowly. I mean, we're in a bit of a mess just now, sociologically, but that's all changing. It may not happen overnight, and it can take a little bit of work and patience. But I guess one of the sayings where you get back as much as you put in is true in that respect. So yeah, be aware of the change, communicate, talk, cry, cuddle, whatever it takes.
Well, beautiful. Thank you so much. Before we part ways, want to make sure that everybody knows that we're going to continue this discussion in another chat, same conversation format, where we have 30 minutes where it's recorded and streaming into our private group, and then 30 minutes of just an intimate chat off of the recording. And the next one will be in May. I would like to give you all the dates for that and then also be on the lookout for it in our private group, some reminders for that, and also in emails if you're on our email list. Definitely beneficial for you to be on there. There's a lot of fun information. The next one will be the 13th of May, and it'll be a little bit later. It's going to be at 1600, 4 p.m. Eastern New York, and then it'll be at 2100 UK and 2200 Rome, Paris time. And then the following one will be at the 15th of July, 1500, which is 3 p.m. Eastern New York, and 2000 UK, 2100 CET. So go ahead and mark your calendars. You can come in and join us in the Soaring Beyond Definition group and watch it streaming live in there, and you can also join us on the Zooms. It'll be the same Zoom every time, trying to make it really easy for y'all to join us. So we don't have to navigate any tech stuff. And until next time, thanks so much, Imran, and we're going to continue the discussion on our own now.
Cool, cool. It's an open field. Bring it on. And thank you everybody that's had the grace to turn up and take care.
Bye.